This podcast is for anyone tired of sitting on the couch watching fucking Netflix. For anyone who wants to know how to break the 9-to-5 slave life. For anyone who wants to be better tomorrow than they are today. I want to help you learn how to break the cycle. This is your story, and you have to write it. Come on in. We're just getting started. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Getting Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Sean Bustard. I have with me today from Becoming the Big Me, Miss Djemilah Birnie. Say hi. How are you this evening?
Oh, I'm doing well, holding in there, staying sane, staying safe.
Awesome. Trey was the one that kind of turned me on to you, and I've been wanting to get you on the show for a while. I know we had something scheduled back around Christmas, and then with all the families and whatnot, it just didn't work out. So I'm really glad to have you here today. Let's dive right into this. First and foremost, let's let everybody know what exactly it is you do. Obviously, you have the Becoming the Big Me podcast. What else you got going on?
Oh man, so I have, kind of my journey has formed into a couple of different directions, and I've just kind of let it flow and form in the way that the universe is guiding me. So my first big success was my agency. So I own a digital marketing agency, and that's Midnightsun Media. During that process, I really started to get into personal development and mindset, where I got trained in neuro-linguistic programming and hypnosis for myself to help myself and my productivity when it came to my business. And then I found that I was doing a lot of coaching for my agency clients, for my digital marketing clients. A lot of our calls would end up going towards mindset and how they could optimize things besides just their advertising to help increase the revenue of their business. And that's where Becoming the Big Me really started to be born, because I've realized I loved coaching. I loved having those conversations and diving into what are the blocks? What are the things that are holding you back? And that's where Becoming the Big Me was born. It was kind of just an organic birth. And I've been able to dive into my feminine side with that coaching, where I can dive into the spiritual aspect of business while also bringing that more masculine energy from my agency with the tangible strategies.
Very cool. And it's kind of odd that, it sort of fell in like that, I guess. I mean, I see a lot of people out there that are claiming to want to be digital marketers, and they're trying to be digital marketers, and it almost seems like the field's getting flooded with them. So being able to have that little pivot point right there must really work out very well for you.
Yeah, I mean, my agency is still going strong, very strong right now with the state of everything that's going on. I have a lot of e-com clients, and they're absolutely killing it right now. And I understand what you're saying with kind of the flood of digital marketers. There's kind of that, laptop lifestyle thing going around on the Instagram that everyone is really into. And again, with my marketing agency, that was a completely organic formation as well. I never sat down one day and was like, I'm going to be a digital marketer. Not at all. It happened over years. I started my first business when I was 17 years old online. I was making and selling kids' clothes, and I grew that business completely online. And that's where I started to learn the power of the internet. I was selling all across the United States, Australia, New Zealand, Europe. I was selling everywhere. And I was like, wow, I can reach a lot of people through this thing called Facebook for free. I had no money. I started that company with $50 and a cell phone and a Goodwill sewing machine. I had no money for advertising. So I learned through grassroots marketing that social media was extremely powerful. And from there, I did some more other business ventures, and I just kept growing that knowledge of digital marketing. And then I came to a point, so I'm a single mom. I have a first grade daughter. I came to a point where all of the product stuff was just too much. I was staying up all night long shipping products, and I was not sleeping, and I was trying to be a mom, and I was trying to, you know, be healthy and do all these things. And I had no idea how to scale. I had no idea how to like hire employees at that point. I was still so young, you know, I still am young, but it wasn't really working out for me. So I was like, how can I switch this to something digital? How can I make, you know, how can I still do what I'm doing, but not having such hands-on on products all the time? And that's when I got my first job as an independent contractor. And I was just running ads for a local singer, building your email list, you know, doing copywriting, stuff like that. And it really just continued to go from there. And then one day I was like, should I make this thing like official and like get, you know, people and really dive into it? And that's kind of, yeah, that's kind of how that happened.
Awesome. All right, so you said you're a single mom, started your business very, very, very young at 17 years old. Let's kind of backtrack a little bit. I want to kind of dig into a little bit, have kind of how you came up, your childhood, things like that, just to kind of see how you got started. You know, what was your situation coming from, and you know, share that story so that maybe somebody else out there can see that they're kind of, you know, maybe if they're in that same situation or even close to it, that even they can get started too. So let's backtrack a bit. How was it growing up? Like, did you come from a fairly like upstanding social family, or were you kind of like the wrong side of the tracks kid? Were you somewhere in the middle? Where did you come from? Where did you start at?
Yeah, so my upbringing was very interesting. You know, my parents were divorced. I kind of was thrown around a lot between households. My dad had a drinking problem and anger management problems. My mom was so damaged from the relationship with my dad that she didn't know how to be a parent. So I wasn't like on the wrong side of the tracks necessarily. I was actually the more middle class, you know, modern American family. From the outside looking in, everything looked really good, but on the inside, it was really, really bad. And that kind of led me to getting into drugs and alcohol. I started drinking when I was 13 years old. I started drinking every single day before going to class, like in my coffee mug. And it wasn't like to be cool. It wasn't like for any of that, because no one actually even knew that I was doing it. Like my friends didn't even know. It was literally just my way of coping with everything that was going on. I had a lot of pressure in sports. I was a high performing skier, and I did really, really well at that. I actually won a national championship, but that was like my dad kind of like trying to show off, you know, look at my daughter kind of thing. So he put
Mm-hmm.
a lot of pressure on me. And after I won that, I actually broke my femur. And when I broke my femur, that kind of all came crashing down. And that was also like one of the things that I used for an escape. Shortly after that, I ended up having to leave my dad's house. It was actually court ordered for me to leave because of an incident that happened. And at that point is kind of when everything started to tumble downhill. I ended up getting deeper into drugs. I couldn't ski. I kind of got hooked on pain medication from, you know, my femur incident. I'd already been struggling with addiction with alcohol. And next thing I knew, you know, I was shooting up heroin. I was living in a house with a bunch of other drug addicts. I wasn't at, you know, home anymore. I had left home. And yeah, I was in a very, very dark place for a long time. After that, several years, you know, really, really deep into an addiction, and with, you know, a person that did not care about me and only cared about what I could get for him. And that's when I wound up pregnant at 17.
Wonderful. That will definitely change your perspective of things, and that's obviously when you got started to go into business yourself, which is definitely a wake up call and a massive push of motivation, I would say. Um, now, what kind of jobs did you have go through? Were you just kind of bounce around job to job, or did you even keep a job up until this point?
Yeah, so I mean, I had done waitressing. I had, worked, I guess mostly just busing and stuff at that point. Had a job working at a UPS place. And actually, after my initial business that I started, which was the kids' clothes, so backtrack a little bit. I started that business because it was like a do or die situation. I was able to get away from the situation with her father, and I wanted to still I made a promise when I decided to keep that child that I was going to show up for her in the very best way possible. I mean, she already had enough things stacked against her, as far as like me being a young teen mom, not having her dad in her life. And I made a promise that I was going to do everything I possibly could to show up for her in the best way possible. And that I decided that I was going to stay home with her. I had no idea how I was going to do it. I didn't know how I was going to stay home. I didn't have an education. I didn't have any outside reason that said that I could. And that's when I realized I needed to start my own business. And that's why I sold, children's items, because I was able to build that from the community that I dumped myself into. Product testing with the moms at the La Leche group, and getting starting to spread just through that organic moms groups and mom circles, and then grow it from there. After that business, it actually ended up completely collapsing onto me because
No.
I grew too big too fast, and I had no idea what the hell I was doing. I did not know how to scale in an effective way. And my, waiting lists were just getting longer. My product quality was going down. My sleep was non-existent. And my biggest thing was I wanted to have that business so that I could stay home and breastfeed my daughter. Now, the funny thing is everything started collapsing like as soon as I was done breastfeeding. So now looking back at it, I'm like, I completely manifested that whole situation. I actually went in and got a job, and I worked for Verizon for about a year and a half. I started as a sales rep, and I very quickly moved my way up to a manager of a store. And with that store, I was able to turn around the revenue by over 300% in 4 months by using techniques that I had learned throughout my business. And that's when I realized that, these principles of business were transferable no matter what industry you were in.
Okay. All right. So you going through Verizon, and how long did you do that roughly?
About a year and a half.
A year and a half. All right. So you leave Verizon. Did you have any clue what it was you wanted to do?
No.
So what then, I guess, led you into the path of digital marketing?
Yeah.
Had you seen any kind of did you get caught into the the shiny object syndrome, or was it more of like it was just something you kind of knew how to do and it just sort of grew that way little by little, or how did you get involved in that field to begin with?
Honestly, I was missing my daughter. I was working 6 days a week. I was commuting across the ferry to Seattle. So I was commuting, sometimes it would take me 4 hours to get home if I didn't hit the ferry schedule, correctly. And I was just burning myself out completely. I had a full-time nanny for her. When I would leave in the morning, it was dark. When I would come back home, it was dark. The one day I had off a week, I would have my people calling me all day on the phone. So I still didn't even get to be there for her. And I was like, you know what? You know how to have a business. You can do it again. And I didn't immediately go into to digital marketing at that point. I actually went back to what I knew, which was selling clothes but I started selling women's clothes. And I started doing that again completely through Facebook. And I was doing like Facebook Live, like QVC style videos. And I was selling like $10,000 a month worth of clothes. And that's when I was like, oh my goodness. So this, I reminded myself again that there was a massive power of social media and digital marketing, and you could do it for a very low cost. And that's, that's when I took on that local singer. I started doing work for her because I was like, if there's a way I could scale back this, because I was selling a lot of clothes and I was doing it all by myself, and I was hand packing every single thing that I was selling. And honestly, the quality of the clothes I was selling was not that great, and I didn't really feel that good about it. So yeah, that's when I started. Then I started doing independent contracting with digital marketing, and I did that for a while. I really only started actually scaling my marketing agency like a year and a half ago, and it has just, skyrocketed. I signed the second that I made the decision to actually go all in. I signed like a 6-figure client.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Now, after signing that 6-figure client, was it kind of like once again kind of jumped in feet first, sort of kind of figure out how to swim as you went along, or did you end up like how long did it take you before you realized you kind of need any sort of mentorship in that? Or did you need mentorship?
Well, mentorship has been huge for me. I had just started actually with my mentorship with Ed Milet and Andy Frisella in the Arte. And that was, I believe, what was able to get me that client, because I didn't know how to approach these larger companies that had these big budgets. And through their coaching, I was able to get a grasp on my pitches and get a grasp on how to even get in contact with these people, how to get through the gatekeepers, how to actually reach them. So, gosh, coaching it has been one of the best things in my life. Really having somebody else tell you and motivate you, even if they're telling you stuff that you already know. That's what I've realized, like all this stuff, like I already knew it somewhere inside, but having someone else come in and tell you just helps, solidify that and really fire you up to put you into action.
Yeah, it definitely reaffirms it and kind of, I guess that sort of makes you look in the mirror and like, I knew that. I can do this. There's no reason I can't. If they're telling me I can obviously do it. And then it's just about overcoming that fear factor.
That's
So
the
at what
thing that holds people back.
it really is. It really is. So at what point would you truly say that you realized that you were being successful with this whole marketing? Was it once you got that first 6-figure client, or was it when you first started working with the Arte Syndicate, or when did you truly feel that you had that success, that this was actually going to all work out, go the way you wanted it to go, and help you design and build your own dream?
That's kind of an interesting question. So there's a couple of layers to it. I have always had this inner knowing, even when there was no evidence around. I've always had this inner knowing that I was meant for something more and that I was going to create something great. I didn't know what it was, and I didn't know when it was going to happen or how it was going to happen, but I've always just kind of had this inner knowing that I didn't go through the things that I went through in my life for no reason. Everything happened for a reason, and because I survived through everything that I did survive through, that I was meant to do something great. So I always had that inner knowing. But when I really felt like things really clicked for me was, after I got that down payment from that client, and it was in my bank account, and I looked at it and I was like, oh my gosh, this is real. This is happening now. This is something that I can really, create something amazing with, and being able to, just like having that freedom to kind of be able to do the things that you want to do when you're like, oh yeah, I can go, and I can fly out and visit my mom. I can't fly out right now, but that feeling of I can go and visit my family when I want to. I can go and take this time off and go spend a couple of weeks, with my family and be there and not have to like worry about all of these other things. Like obviously there's things that you have to keep up with, but once you do have other people in your corner, you have a team, you're not having to do as much.
It gives you that level, that feeling of certainty, which definitely can go a long way.
Yeah.
So let's backtrack a little bit. When did you really start getting into kind of the personal development side of everything? You mentioned before being, real big into neuro-linguistic programming, and I myself am a rabid fan of that myself. So let's dig into that a little bit. When did you start getting into that whole area?
Uh, okay, so this is kind of a weird story. So I had like an awakening, so to speak. So I've had introductions to personal development throughout my whole life. My mom was a network marketer and she listened to all of those, things. And I always kind of heard it, and she would talk about The Secret and all of these other things. And I never paid any mind, but it was there kind of planting the seed, I suppose. And then after I got pregnant with my daughter, the school that I went to finish to get my diploma for school, they had us read the book, The Four Agreements. And that was kind of like my second little taste, but I still didn't really get into personal development until I had my spiritual awakening. And it was a very interesting moment in my life. I had been asking, for guidance. I had been, wanting more, but not really knowing how to get it. And I had an experience that sounds really crazy, but it really like flipped everything for me in my mind. I had an experience where I was taking a shower, my daughter was asleep, and all of a sudden, like, everything started closing in. My hearing went out. I could no longer hear the shower like hitting the ground, and everything started closing in. And it was literally like a life flash before your eyes kind of moment, because I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to pass out right now in the shower. Nobody's here. My daughter, is young. She's asleep. She's like, what's going to happen? And so I'm just like trying to get out of the shower at this moment. I'm thinking if I can make it outside, if I can at least pass out outside so someone knows that my daughter's here. And I didn't end up making it outside. I did pass out. I wasn't out for that long, because when I got back up, like, the shower water was still warm. But when I woke up, everything was different. And I can't really explain it necessarily. It was like 1 degree off. Like, I was in the same place, but everything just was a little bit different. And that's when I really started diving into spirituality and the brain and the quantum kind of realm of energy, because I was able to think something, it would like happen. I was seeing like aura visions. I almost checked myself into an insane asylum because I literally thought I had completely lost it. And that went away. It took about a month and that kind of faded away. But after that, everything has been different. That's when I found, neuro-linguistic programming. I found hypnosis. I really started diving into like the energetic side of things and the quantum physics kind of manifestation world, and realizing how incredibly powerful that we truly are. Like, we hold this amazing power inside of us, and most of us don't even realize it. And it all starts with your subconscious mind. It all starts with your beliefs and what you believe to be true. And with neuro-linguistic programming, it's all about the words that we use and how those words are going to affect our reality, are going to affect the actions that we take or don't take. And hypnosis is all about reaching the subconscious mind as well. And that's, when I dove into those, really, like I said, initially just for myself, just to get myself through the obstacles and, the healing of the trauma, and just getting through the day as a single mom and owning a business, and the stresses that come with all of those obstacles that come along the way.
Awesome. And even today, we've only studied like, we only did, I saw the stat the other day, it was something like 4% of the unconscious and subconscious mind that we really even understand. So, yeah, there's definitely power in the brain. And I've always been a fan myself of mind over matter slogan, even though that technically deals with our conscious mind.
Yeah.
The brain and the mind itself have incredible untapped potential that no one, well, some people have figured it out. I don't know if you've seen it yet. I discovered a documentary. I guess it's a documentary. Sort of fits that profile on Netflix of Tony Robbins. And if anybody's listening, I'm sure you know who Tony Robbins is from old, early and mid '90s late night infomercials that came on after Saturday Night Live, where he had people walking across fire, doing all this crazy stuff. Uh, but that Netflix documentary really kind of opens it up to someone who I feel truly has mastered that potential. And to see what he does and to see what other people who practice neuro-linguistic programming are doing and other people who are in the hypnosis field that are doing really is kind of a mind-blowing thing once you sit down and start studying them, see what it is they're doing, how it is they're using these tools, and just how powerful these tools really can be.
Exactly. And the thing with that, the thing with both, NLP and hypnosis, we're all doing it all the time already. We go into hypnotic states multiple times a day. The thing is, we're just not consciously aware of it. Same with neurolinguistic programming. We're constantly programming our reality with our words. Most of us just aren't aware of it. So all that the study of these things is just bringing it into your conscious mind. It's bringing it into your awareness. So then you can actually start using these things to help you, so you can move forward, so you can move past, the obstacles that are holding you back, so you can heal the trauma, so you can do, take the action that you need to take to get to where you want to go.
Exactly. And I think it's pretty cool. This is it. They talk about there's 5 different stages to the quote unquote mass populist mind. You got that early 5 to 10% that is the pioneers of it all. And you've got your early adopters, and you've got your mass populace that they'll kind of jump on board once they see it works, and there's a little bit of credibility and proof to it. And then of course you've got your late runners up and your scragglers. They're like, oh, I want running from the FOMO and all that. Yeah, I'm really excited about this whole field, this whole industry. I'm really excited to see where it's going to go, and I can't really wait to jump into it myself. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, let's jump back into the present moment now. What kind of new ventures you got going? Anything new you want to talk about? Any kind of offers you'd like to help out or give out there to anybody that's kind of looking for some place to get started with?
Oh, something new. One thing that I'm doing right now, if any of you guys are on TikTok, I am now on TikTok. I love TikTok, and I'm currently running a 30-day money matrix challenge totally for free on TikTok. This is something that I've taken out of my Quantum Clients course, which is normally $555. This is like the whole first portion of that course. I'm running it for free because I know that the collective consciousness is in a complete state of scarcity right now. So I'm running this whole thing on TikTok. If you even just search the hashtag money matrix on TikTok, it's all me. So if you want to check that out, it's totally free. All the videos are on there for free. You can also sign up for the email portion of the challenge where I just send complete value. I'm not trying to sell anything. It's complete value because I want to see more people stepping into their power and help us raise, because it really is a collective consciousness. So the more people who are on this high vibration, high income earning vibration, the better it is for everyone, the better it is for the whole planet. So that's really the main thing I got going on right now. That's new and fun, and I'm loving TikTok. Let me just tell you.
Very cool. I would attempted TikTok myself. I don't know if I quite understand it myself. It's still very new, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm doing pretty good with Facebook. I'm just now starting to really figure out Instagram. So Instagram is still my new thing there. I'm slowly but surely gonna figure that one out. I've got a 14-year-old daughter that she's actually at her other daddy's house tonight. Who, I don't know, she'll come in here in the living room with her phone, and she'll look at her phone for about 5 minutes. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm learning TikTok. Watch this. And she'll start doing TikTok dance. I'm like, I don't even know what just happened here. I'm so lost.
I don't think I TikTok right, because I don't do like the dances and I don't do like everything. I just kind of post whatever I want on there. So I'm probably not doing it, right, but I'm still loving it.
Oh, there you go. And that's what it's all about. I haven't fun. Plus, it's so new right now that I don't think anyone's really figured out how to use it yet. Like,
Yeah.
there's not really a right or wrong way to do it yet, I don't think. Unless you're doing it like me, and then it's obviously the wrong way. All right, so last but not least, wrapping things up here, you know, a lot of people ask me when they, first start kind of looking into all this, what exactly it is that gets people started, what exactly it is, what kind of things can they try to do and try to get into. So, in your opinion, or in your perspective, what is the absolute best advice you can offer to those out there who are just kind of skeptical about the whole lifestyle of working for yourself and working from home? But they know it's working. They're miserable waking up and going to the same job day in, day out. Especially ones where they work all week just to kind of make ends meet. They're not really putting anything back the same. They're just doing what they can to get by. What's the best advice you can offer someone trying to break free of that typical lifestyle?
The best advice that I can offer is to do anything you can to build your belief that there is something else out there, that breaking your back for the 9 to 5 is not the only option. Now, everything comes down to what you believe you can do. So it's all that core belief. So if you can start to build your belief that it's possible, whether that be through mentors, whether that be through, finding the right inspiring people on social media. I'm not just talking about like influencers. I'm talking about the right people who are actually out there doing it. Finding these people, connecting with people, having conversations with people who own their own business, who are making money. If you can start to build up that belief that it is possible, that there is another thing out there that you can do, then that's going to help you. That's going to help inspire you to, one, have a good idea, and two, to take action. So that's the biggest piece of advice that I have.
Awesome. That's great advice right there. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here this evening. Thanks for coming to the show. Thanks for hanging out with me and chatting with me and let me get to know you a little bit more and let my audience get to know you a little bit more. And hopefully that somebody out there can resonate with this story so well that they can take the steps to get started for themselves. And I guess just overall, stay safe, have a wonderful quarantine, and have a wonderful rest of the evening.
Yeah, you too. Thanks so much for having me on. I really, really enjoyed this. And I can't wait to, continue to watch your journey as well.
Thank you. All right, everybody, that's it for me this evening. Y'all have a great rest of the day and be on the lookout for the next episode of Getting Started Podcast.